Okay, this is day 3 of the boot camp. I did a few things just to make the video a little shorter. One thing I already did was paint this box for wet on dry. We're using acrylic paint today. I have my acrylic paint here just so you can see. Just mostly the primary colors and then white and black. And then I also painted just this little not so cute fish for the glaze and overlay technique. You need to let these two things dry, so I recommend you start with these two and then we'll do the other ones and come back to it. Alright, so let's get started. For wet on dry, and you will have to come back to this after it's totally dry, and I just used black, I'm going to use some paint and I'm going to paint over my dry paint. So this is a technique you use a lot in painting with acrylic paint. I'm going to just go over my little drawing or my little painting with some white just to see what it looks like. When you're painting, you know, you want to really think of the image that you want to create a little bit differently. Usually going in with the background and letting it dry and painting on top of it is a good way to do some landscapes and other paintings. It really just depends on what you're doing, but oftentimes it's a good choice. My shooting star probably would look better with a little bit of yellow paint for the star. Okay. So just paint the area. You can pick any color. You don't have to do black. And then do a little layering on top with your wet paint. Okay, let's go to gradient. Gradient is when you go from one color to the next, kind of like a blending gradient. I'm going to start with red. I would do at least 2 of these because it takes a little practice. I'm going to put a little red paint down. I'm going to clean my brush. Make sure you have paper towels. I'm going to dry it. I'm going to put my yellow paint down. Now there's a few ways to do this. This is just one way. And then I'm going to bring my lighter color over. And then I'm going to bring my darker color over. Red is stronger than yellow in terms of like color and color mixing. So I'm cleaning my brush and I dried it with the paper towel. You don't need water. I'm just going to try to blend and have it slowly go from this orange color to my yellow. I'm going to go in here. Just going to add a little bit more yellow, see if I can make it more of a smooth transition. All right, so it went from red to orange. Drying my brush, maybe adding a little more yellow over here. All right, I would try a couple to get it right. This is a good technique to use when you're painting and you want to blend from one color to another in kind of a smooth transition. You could also do like blue to red and you'll get that purple in the middle. Okay, a wash. I've already made my wash. All it is paint and water. And it makes it kind of like a watercolor. So you can see how watery it is. I just used a little cup like this and I poured it into another well in here and moved the paint over. I say about 50% water and 50% paint. This is great for that watercolor look. So it looks a lot like watercolors. If you want something transparent but you're using acrylic paint, this is what you need to do. You don't want to just grab some watercolors and mix it with acrylic. That might not work for you. Okay, we'll come back to this. I think it's still a little bit wet in here, so I'm going to wait. Splatter paint. All right. With splatter paint, I think it might be cool to just do a little color underneath so you can see it better. And I'm going to use that blue wash. Actually, I'll make a wash for you live so you can see it. Now it's good to have it dry, but it's not that big of a deal if it's not totally dry. I'm just cleaning my brush really well. Because with the splatter paint, you don't actually, when you splatter it, you don't actually touch the paper with your brush. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a wash. I have my white paint here. I'm going to do it with white paint. I'm just going to move a chunk over, make sure it's nice and clean. Now, with white, you probably really want to use clean water, but I'm not going to go up and grab some clean water. I'm actually just going to scoop a little water from my bucket, and I'm going to add it. Now, the point of that is you need it watery or it won't splatter. Okay, I think I'm going to grab a little more white. Okay, stir it up. I've made my wash, but this wash is going to be for splattering. Okay, I've got the paint on my brush. This can get messy, so please try to control it a little bit, and you just flick. So go down low. All right. I'm going to bring it close so you can see. I kind of focused a little too much in the middle there, so you know, you might want to do a few flicks and see how it goes before you go on your good paper. Now you got to be careful because I can see I splattered a little bit here, so you know, when you're splattering, especially if you want to do a big paper, let me know and I'm going to have you go outside and make sure you have some messy paper underneath your work. All right, let's try the drips. This one is fun. Again, we're going to use our wash here for our drips. I'm going to clean that brush. I'm going to dry it off a little bit. We're going into a different color. Now for this one, you kind of want to hold your paper a little bit vertical. So I'm going to add some paint here. Now I'm going to kind of shake it to bring it down. Now if you have more water in your paint, it'll drip a little bit better. So I'm going to add a little bit more water. Let's see if I can get more water on my brush to make it happen a little easier. You can kind of shake it down and get those drips. You get the idea. See if you can get a few more. Kind of shake it. All right. If you add a bit more water, it should drip a little more. Just depends on really how watery you want it and how much you want to control the drips. Another way to do this is with a straw. Okay. I am going to go back to my glaze here. So with the glaze, you also use the wash. A glaze is just a transparent layer of paint, just like a wash, but you're doing it on top of something. It might blend a little bit into this yellow paint. I can still see some wet spots, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just so you see what it looks like. I picked a fish because it could have that kind of underwater look. So now we know yellow and blue make green. So my fish looks a little bit green now. Ooh, it did a little bit of blending, but you can kind of get the idea of how a wash or a glaze, it's called a glaze or an overlay when you do it over another color. All right, so try all these techniques, and yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening.